Hey everyone, it's Brett and Jessica, and we are black today. We're not black, we're white. Oh my gosh. And we know what today's episode is going to be like.
So funny.
Hey everyone, it's Brett and Jessica, and we are back, and today we are here to tell you about a great book we read. Tell them what we read, Jessica.
And the title of the book is... Why do I never know this? Why do I never remember what it is?
I can't even remember. Okay, take 3. Boy.
All right, Beyond the Desert Sands. Got it.
All right, let's try this a third time.
Yes.
Hey everyone, it's Brett and Jessica, and we are back to talk to you a great book to you. I cannot talk today. Cleansing bread.
We got this.
Yes. Hey everyone, it's Brett and Jessica, and we are back, and today we're here to tell you about another great book we read. Woo,
Yes.
This is the 4th time it took us to get this right.
Yes, we have had several attempts
We
to get
have.
this intro right.
So before we get too far into it, tell them what book we read.
Okay, so it is called Beyond the Desert Sands. I'll show you a picture of it.
Welcome to the Bookish Introverts Podcast. Join host Amazon bestselling author Brett Nelson and avid reader Melanie Dyer as they dive in to review books they've read, then chat with the amazing authors behind them. Quiet minds, big bookshelves. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, for those that are listening
Cover.
and for those that are listening instead of watching, it's a book by Tracie Peterson. On one side of the book, there's like a woman, like a historical woman. On the other side of the book, there's like a desert scene. It's in kind of earth tone colors. It's a pretty cover.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Beyond the Desert Sands.
Beyond the Desert Sands. And we had Tracie Peterson on the podcast last summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I
we
don't think I
actually
realized
got
that.
to talk to her. It was about her new release that she had last year, and she sort of is known as the queen of historical fiction
Oh,
in Christian fiction.
Okay.
And she was
That's so
such an
cool.
amazing person to talk to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was
It was
just
like a
so
good interview.
sweet, and yeah, really enjoyed talking to her.
Okay.
Enjoyed getting to know her. Yeah.
That is so cool. I love
Yeah,
that.
so if you guys want to hear us actually talking to Tracie, Jessica and I talked to her in one interview. I actually talked to her twice last year because she released 2 books. So we had her on for when she released a book by herself, and then she co-authored one with Amanda Woodhouse, something like that. They co-wrote a book together. So anyway, Jessica and I
No.
Charity and I
Okay.
talked
I was
to
like,
her.
you're saying the wrong name.
Yeah, Charity and I talked to her about her
Okay.
solo book, and then So anyway,
Got
so
you.
if you guys want to check
I'm
out
going to have to
that-
go back and listen to that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
is such an interesting person to talk to. So
Oh,
go check that
wow.
one out if you guys want to
That's
hear
awesome.
her talk. So I got something I kind of want to talk to you about before we
Oh,
get started.
okay.
So I read an article this weekend. What was it about? Okay. I read an article this weekend about 63% of people these days, and this is like a Barna poll, so this is from a very notorious poller.
Reputable source.
Reputable source. 63% of people these days say they have a hard time reading books.
Wow. That's a big percent.
It's a huge percent.
3%.
Yeah, like and like people said they have a hard time concentrating on books. They really enjoy reading, but they have a hard time
to like
concentrating.
see it all the way through.
Yeah, to like either to see the
Finish
book
it.
through to completion, or they just struggle. Even if they're enjoying the story and they're enjoying the book, they struggle to stay focused on the book.
Well, do you feel like that has something to do with just the day and time
Well,
we're living in with social
I
media?
think so. Yeah. So one of the
and
first
all
things
the
I want
entertainment
like,
that
do
we have.
you find it hard to focus on books these days?
I mean, yeah, I kind of get it because And really, your phone is the biggest distraction of all.
Yes, especially if you're reading on an app that's on your phone.
Yeah, because notifications will pop up.
Of course, you don't
like,
do that
oh,
so
I gotta.
much. You like a physical book.
Right. I prefer a physical book, but I was warming up to the electronic book too.
Yeah.
But it's like, and then notifications will pop up, like, oh, I got a text message. Oh, somebody's calling me.
Yeah.
So there's so many distractions if you're talking about reading it electronically, especially if it's a device that's connected to your phone where those notifications keep popping up. Now, I have an iPad that's not connected to my phone, so if I do get like a Kindle book on that and I'll put it on that, then I shouldn't be distracted though by notifications, like me personally. But I know a lot of people will connect their phone to their iPads and things like that too. But even if your phone is just sitting beside you, even if I have just a physical book that I'm reading and my phone's there, like ding,
and you hear that ping,
you know, and then you're going to pick it up and you're going to look at it and then you're going to get distracted. And
yes, and that's what a lot of people said. Because I have found myself struggling with this too. And I've always been a very avid reader. And even up until like probably a decade ago, I never had this problem.
Yeah.
I've always been able to sit down and just read for hours at a time. Of course, you know, when you get to a certain age, it's hard to do that because you have a life. You know, you've got responsibilities, you know. But like I used to could sit and just for hours at read and like concentrate and not be like literally my parents used to say, when you're reading a book, a bomb could explode outside the window and you would never notice.
Yeah.
And
you're just laser focused.
Yeah, laser. And I find myself not like that anymore.
No,
I
agree.
struggle. And I don't know if part of it for me is I have to read so many books in such a short amount of time for this podcast.
You do.
I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it or what.
And the fact that you're also writing too, probably at the same time.
Yeah, writing and editing and working for a living. It's just,
And editing your podcast episodes. I mean, you do have a lot on your plate. So
I
don't know how you do all that you do and all of the books that you read for all the podcast episodes and just...
It stresses me out sometimes. It's
a lot.
Like it really kind of blows to be stressed out by book reading because even when I have an author on, I cannot get the words out today.
I can so relate.
I always have to read the book. I want to read the book before I have because you can't. And I've had several people tell me, it's so nice coming on your podcast because I can tell you've read the book. It's so much easier to talk to a podcast host about my book if they've actually read the book.
They've read it. Makes so much
and I'm
sense.
like, how do people have authors on their podcast
and not read the book?
And not read the book?
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't
to
know
me.
how they do that, but apparently that's rare.
Or they'll just read the back of the book to get a synopsis of what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's a little disrespectful to the author that you're having on if you're not going to read the book.
If you don't even care about enough to read their book. Yeah. So anyway, but like part of the article said, social media is part of the reason why people's attention spans, because I mean, even on videos online, like when I watch, like say YouTube videos, I like long content. The longer, the better, because I like to watch things that I can learn from or things that,
educational things.
Yeah, people these days, when they scroll, the shorter the better. The average attention span for people on social media for watching like on TikTok is like 2 seconds.
Right. Very, very short attention span.
Yeah. So if they can't even watch an entire video, I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't be able to sit down and read a book. So anyway, I just kind of thought that statistic was interesting.
I mean, it's
because I find myself struggling with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I totally get it. And
I don't understand why, because I'm not a social media person. Like, I'm not one that... I do post stuff, but a lot of times I post and then I get off the app. I'm not one to scroll for even minutes at a time, much less hours.
The only social media that I have is Facebook. I don't do Instagram or Twitter or... Snapchat or whatever else is out there. There's so much that I don't even understand or realize that is even a thing now.
Yeah.
But that is one that I will spend time on. Like the Reels, the Facebook Reels, I will like just look watch reel after reel,
See,
just little
not me.
video clips of whatever it is.
I'm just not into reels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, but I just thought it was interesting because for some reason I find myself falling into that statistic somewhat, and I don't really understand why, because I've always been laser focused on reading, and now, and like, maybe it's an age thing. I'm getting older, so maybe that's part of what it is. I don't know, but I find myself sometimes skimming, and I'll be like, okay, I've read 3 pages, and I have no idea what I even read, and I find myself having to go back a lot. Because I feel like a lot of times I'm skimming and not even realizing it.
Oh, wow. I feel like I used to do that when I was taking like college classes and you're trying to read the textbook and you're just trying to skim through to find an answer to the test question or quiz question or whatever, or homework question. And you're just skimming through and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
But I've definitely done that in regard to just homework things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like for me personally, when I'm reading the books, like we're doing for the podcasts, I don't think I skim. I think I just read through it, and
yeah.
I mean, I get why you would do it, because you're trying to get through it to get to the next book you gotta read.
and I think that's kind of what it boils down to. I think it, like, in my mind, I know I've got to get this one read so I can get to the next one, and that's why I have such a hard time with the details of books on these podcasts. I really probably depend on you and Charity a little bit too much, because by the time we record a podcast, I've read this book a month or a month and a half ago.
Well, that was so crazy that you say that, because we were talking. I mean, we had just picked out the book that we said we were going to read for this one, and was it a month ago or whenever it was?
Yeah.
And I think it was just right after we'd done the last one we recorded together, and we picked out a book and we said, okay, we'll read this one for the next one. And then I talked to you a few days later. I feel like it was just a few days later. Maybe it was a week later. I don't know. But he's like, oh, I already read it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I texted her. I was
like,
oh my gosh, this book was so good. You're like, I haven't even started
it. So I feel like I get what you're saying. So for like me and Charity and other ones that you have on, we probably have the benefit of it being fresh on our minds.
Yeah.
Because we probably read it.
You get to read it at a little bit more leisurely pace.
At leisurely pace, and probably closer to time for us to do the podcast. And I haven't read 10 other books since this one, like you have.
Yeah, like I've literally,
this is the only book I've read.
I think I've read like 4 or 5 books since this one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, so I think that's probably what part of my... Anyway, when I read that article, I was like, that's kind of frightening that so many people can't focus on books. And, but then I was like, but I'm kind of the same way. And I'm sure everybody has various reasons, but the biggest thing they said was they attribute it to social media. They call it brain rot. People they can't even concentrate on a 5-second long video. They just constantly scroll, never really taking anything in, and they call it brain rot. So they attribute a lot of it to that.
I believe that, and I think we're all susceptible to it, myself included. I know I could spend a lot less time than I do on, just like I said, the one platform that I choose to use. I don't even use the rest of them, but that one that I use, I spend more time on it than I should. I know that. So it's just one of those things. It's something mindless that you can. I don't know what is appealing about that. But there is something appealing about it. Something that you can just sit there and just something mindless that you can do that kind of because I feel like no one wants to just sit in silence anymore. That's uncomfortable. Yeah. Just to sit in a quiet house with no. Like,
do you TV go to social media reels rather than TV or anything like that?
Well, here's what I do. I will have TV, so I'll be watching TV, but I will also be scrolling through Facebook at the same time.
I find myself doing that sometimes. Like when I do my scrolling, I absolutely loathe that streaming services, everything's ad supported. It drives me insane. Ads, it's like I may as well be on TV again, on cable again.
Yeah. Now all the streaming services have, and the ads are so long. So it's like you watch a little bit of the show, and then it's like ad time, and then it's like 3 minutes long.
3 minutes long.
At least.
Yeah, it's literally like watching cable. It's like, and that's one of the main reasons why I switched from cable to streaming because it was nice to not have to sit through all the commercials.
And
now you have to pay $30
to not
have ads.
I know.
It's like, oh, it just drives me insane.
Oh, it's very frustrating. And it's all about them making more money off of you. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay extra to not have ads. I'll just pay the lower amount, but then you got to sit through the ads.
Exactly. And that's what I a lot of times tend to wind up doing. I'll scroll while the ads are playing. These people that take out these ads, they are paying a lot of money for us to see their ads, and nobody wants to see them.
And nobody's paying attention
Have you
to
ever
them.
watched an ad for anything and thought, oh, I need that. I think I'm going to go buy it?
No.
Never.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's just wasted time, but
it is. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Interesting. All right. So
okay.
You want to take us into the book?
Yes,
Again,
sir.
It's Tracie Peterson, The Desert Sands, or The Desert of Desert.
Beyond
the
desert sands.
Sorry, listeners, you'll have to forgive us. The words are not happening easily today. I'm telling you, it's 90 degrees here, and there's pollen everywhere. My asthma is acting up. Summer is not being kind to me.
Well, and it's not even summer yet. That's what's the frustrating part.
It's like March 20th.
Yeah, it shouldn't be in the 90s. Okay,
Yeah.
so is there a series? Because it says Love on the Santa
Yes,
Fe.
and
So it's
this is
series.
not the first in the series. So
Brett.
I know. I think I don't have my glasses on. I think that's the first book in the series. Can you read that?
It's called Destined for You.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, just be aware that this is like the third or fourth in a series.
Okay.
I think
I
that
didn't
may
even
be
realize
it.
that.
Actually, after I read this book, I did go back and read the first one in the series because I enjoyed this book so much that I went and read the first book in this. I haven't read the second one yet, or whatever that we.
I bet. I mean,
I can't remember which one in the series this is, but
I
this is
enjoyed
not
this
number
one too, and I would do the same thing. I would go and find other ones in that series. Okay.
Yeah, I borrowed it from the library. I borrowed the ebook from the library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, this one could be a standalone because I had no idea that it was.
Yeah.
There was other ones. So let me ask you this: do they build on one another? Like, do they have the same characters, or is it?
I went back and read the first one. I did not recognize any of the characters from the third book or whatever.
Okay.
If there were any, I just didn't.
Okay.
It didn't. Yeah. So you could easily read this as a standalone. I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it was very good. I enjoyed it.
Oh, it was so good. This is the second or third. I think I've read at this point 3 Tracie Peterson's books, and I have very much enjoyed all of them.
Okay.
So I think
she's a good author.
Yeah.
Well, so we start in June of 1904.
And this is before New Mexico was actually a state. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a territory.
Do you like historical fiction?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I find it interesting. I've read several books of kind of like those wagon going out west, trying to settle land and things. And wagon trails or,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that
For some reason, I've never really been a huge fan of historical fiction, but it is really growing on me. I'm getting to where I would rather read historical fiction and biblical fiction over contemporary, and that's so unusual for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
what
weird.
I've always probably gravitated towards, is more of like those types of books.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like, well, Love Comes Softly series that.
Is that Jeanette Oak? Mm-hmm. Is it Oak or Okie? Melanie and I have had this conversation.
I know.
I've always
said
pronounced
Oak,
it Oak. Yeah.
but I feel like other people could pronounce it Okie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a tomato type of word where it could just.
I read
on
my
what...
first Jeanette Oak book just recently, just in the
No
last
way.
couple of weeks.
Are
Yeah.
you serious? That's the first one you'd ever read?
First one. First one. It was one that she and Davis Bunn wrote together, The Centurion's Wife. Have you read that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness,
it
was
though.
so good.
Okay, well, and I do like Jeanette Oak. I've really enjoyed that Love Comes Softly, and I feel like there was other series that she wrote that I read as well, and I just can't remember the names of them. But that Love Comes Softly series, it did follow the same family all the way through, and so it kind of won.
And I think that's probably one of the most popular
next.
series in her repertoire. Would you say?
I think so. The most well known.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed those. Okay. So back to
so
the
we're
book
in
here.
Silvervale, New Mexico. It's a newly established town that Isabella, her father, has founded.
Yes. And so she, at this point, I believe she's like 10 years old. And this was kind of like the prologue, wasn't it?
Yes.
So we get to meet Isabella.
And I've never met a prologue that I liked. I'm just saying.
And I don't mind them. So.
I hate them. Every time I open a book and see a prologue, I literally sigh out loud and roll my eyes.
I guess I don't understand your disdain for it, but
I just get into the book.
right.
Yeah.
Well, this was kind of important, though.
It
that
was.
You needed this information, though, going into it.
And I will say this prologue was not as odious as others that I've read. I think one thing that I hate about prologues is when they start in the middle of the action. You have no idea who the people are. You have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
You have no idea why they're doing what they're doing. And I
like,
know at some point
who
in
are
the
these
book
people?
it's going to make sense.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like opening up a book in the middle and starting to read in the middle of a book, and it's like you don't know.
It makes no sense.
You don't know who any
You
of these
have
people
no-
are. You don't
you-
know any context. You don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. But this wasn't like that.
This was not like that. Yeah. I didn't mind this one as much, but I still did roll my eyes when I saw the prologue.
So you find out pretty quickly that Isabella is a spoiled little brat.
Oh boy, is she.
She irritates me.
Yes.
I'm just like, oh, this kind of attitude, this kind of entitlement.
Yeah.
Just an arrogance, an entitlement, spoiled.
Yeah.
That rubs me the wrong way. It
So did
really
you
does.
dislike her?
I didn't like this character for
Okay.
a long time. I did not.
See, that's so interesting because, like, I didn't enjoy her as a character. Like you said, she was annoying. She was entitled. She's not the
spoiled.
type of. But I didn't hate her. Like to me, that's
Yeah. Oh, it irritated me.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I can't stand people like that.
yeah.
So it's like you knew she was going to have an arc. You knew she was going to kind of come around and mature.
See,
and-
that's how I look at it. Even if I don't like a character, usually the characters that you hate, they're the ones that are going to have the biggest growth arc.
Yeah, they grow on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
so
she definitely
hates
does.
living in New Mexico. Her dad has moved them from California. Is that
Yes,
right?
from
He's
California.
moved them from California to the unsettled New Mexico. And this is a silver town. There's a lot of silver
Yeah, mining.
Silver mining. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, and she does not want to be there. She wants to be back in California where things are happening.
Yes. So it's like, so there's this encounter with Isabella, and her dad's name is it Daniel? Okay.
Daniel, yeah.
So she's having an encounter with her dad, and there is somebody that's on the outskirts of this conversation that can hear it and see it, but they don't realize that,
Aaron
that
Bailey.
he's there.
Yeah.
So he witnesses this exchange between Isabella and Daniel, and she's...
And Daniel is Aaron is very, he loves Isabella's dad. He's very, what's the word?
dedicated to him,
Yes.
loyal,
Loyal.
and
That's
has a
where
lot of respect for
yes,
him.
he's very loyal to Daniel, to Isabella's dad.
Yes, he is. So, and Daniel seems like a really upstanding. He is somebody that is well liked, well respected in his community. Again, Aaron really is loyal to him, likes him, respects him. You can tell he's like an upstanding man. And so Isabella is the spoiled brat that is just furious that their family moved from California to New Mexico.
Out in the
She
middle
has
of nowhere.
resented it ever since. And so she's
And she's like
having
a
an
whiny
argument.
3-year-old.
having an argument with her dad, saying, I don't want to be here. I hate it here. I want to go back home. I want to live with my, okay. Was she 18 at this point? She wasn't 10.
No.
She was 10 when they moved there.
Yeah, she was younger.
She was about 18 when they had this argument. That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
When they were having this argument.
in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, but she was 10 years old when they moved from California to New Mexico. But now she's 18. She feels like she's
So
an
they've
adult.
been there for several years.
Yeah, she feels like she's an adult now. She should be able to make this decision. She wants to go live with her aunt. So her aunt still lives on their land
And how
in
many
California.
18-year-olds think they're adults?
Oh, yeah.
I probably did when I was 18.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And again, the arrogance of that. The know-it-all.
Honestly, she was kind of immature.
Yeah, she was, I would say. Very sheltered, obviously, because like they're a very wealthy family.
Yes.
I think that's worth mentioning.
Even in California, they led very privileged lives.
Yes. So they've got this homestead back in California. They have this ranch where they have horses and again, their family, it was like a generational wealth.
Yes.
Their family had settled there in California, generations of them, and they had done well for themselves. They had made a name for themselves, and they were wealthy.
Yeah.
So they still had this place in California that her aunt, she was kind of like the only living relative at that point.
Yeah. Aunt Josephina.
Yes. And so she was still living there, and she's like, and we found out that the father would, I don't remember when he would start was it at this point that he started allowing her to go back for summer during the summer?
Yeah, she got to go during the summers.
She would get to go stay with her aunt, and or maybe leading up to that, she would get to spend summers with her aunt. And then she was like, but now I'm 18, I just want to go back. I just want to move back and live there permanently. I don't want to just spend summers there. And so they're having kind of an altercation. She's being disrespectful towards her dad,
totally.
is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And not listening to his reasoning in all of this. So, okay.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the prologue. Aaron witnesses it and just thinks she's a spoiled brat.
Yeah. He does not like her. And I knew right away, like as soon as I read this, he caught her mumbling under her breath, and he's like, "Oh, you're such a spoiled little brat." I knew right away, okay, they're going to be a love interest at some point.
Oh,
Did
yes,
you do that too?
Oh, yeah, you knew it.
Yeah.
So, because at this point, like
because
I said, she is 18.
She doesn't really care for Aaron either.
Right, because I think they did have a little bit of an encounter.
At some point.
Well, right after her and her dad parted ways, after they kind of had a fight with one another about her living in California or not living in California, whatever. She then runs into Aaron, and he's like, "I just witnessed that, and you're a spoiled brat," and blah 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 blah. Yeah. So he kind of confronted her and kind of called her out
on her bad behavior.
On her behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then a time jump. So it jumps to 1911 in California, where Isabella is now 25 years old.
Yes.
Okay. So she has not been back to New Mexico since she was 18, I believe. Yeah.
So I got
her way.
How did that happen? Did it say, or like did her dad just?
He finally gave in.
He
finally gave in and just let her go live with her aunt, and they just thought that's probably at this point this is for the best. She is
and at 25, she is old enough to make her own decisions of where she wants to be.
And so she's been in California for a long time now, and I believe hadn't been back to New Mexico in several years. So that she gets summoned to come back to New Mexico by her father. Doesn't really know why, but she's willing to go at least, because I feel like she's not told up front maybe the real reason why. And we do find out as we're going along that her dad is sick.
Yes, he's sick. Yeah.
And so, but at least she agrees to come.
And I guess it makes sense that she would be willing to go at this point because she knows she's old enough that she's not going to be told she has to stay. Yeah. And
so Daniel sends Aaron, which is kind of like his right-hand man. And he wants Aaron to take over. Like when Daniel's no longer able to do it, or when he passes away, he wants Aaron to take this role that he wants to step into the role that Daniel had.
Yeah, and at this point, nobody knows that Dad is as sick as he is.
Right.
And while Aaron has ambitions, the railroad is very big, very popular in there right now, and he has ambitions to work for the railroad.
Yes. And he does work for the railroad.
He does work for the railroad, but he wants to move
work
up the ranks.
himself up, within that organization, the Santa Fe.
The Santa Fe Railroad.
And because that is a lucrative business at that point in time, think of all of the tracks that they're trying to lay get from one part of the country all the way to the other part of the country.
And it's the fastest way to get anywhere in their day.
Yeah, and they're just getting all those tracks laid. And that was the form of transportation at the time. Can you
imagine living in this time? Like, I can imagine how exciting it would be to have like railroad tracks coming through your town. Like, that would almost, to me, be like that. It would almost feel like that's a sign of progress.
Well, it is, and it's bringing some modern things to you. It's bringing things to you. You're coming into whatever century this is at the time. Like, oh, they're going to bring in some like
commerce,
conveniences, and
yeah. So like to me, I can just imagine living in that time and just it's.
I mean, to me, it would be kind of cool to live in that time frame. I think that's why that's why I enjoy reading the books that are set in the early 1900s, and again, before, like, these were still territories. They weren't even like statehood yet, and just settling, like going into, like the dad here going to New Mexico, bought land that hadn't been settled, nothing had been done with it, and he makes a town.
Just raising it from the ground up.
Yeah, and he creates a town, and they have a mining community. And
one thing I love about her dad is like, he is genuinely a good guy. Mm-hmm. He doesn't take money from the silver mines because he's got money of his own, so he's not doing it out of greed. He really, and we may get into this a little further in the book, he really cares about, he wants his town and its people taken care of.
Yes, he is
and
very
I really like that about
man.
him, because people these days that are in that kind of role, they're often not selfless. It's all about them and getting as much as they can.
And lining their own pockets.
Yeah,
that's all it's about
so I really liked her dad. That he was,
I did too.
Yeah.
And that's what's so perplexing about the relationship between Isabella and her dad, because they're estranged. They don't have a good relationship, and she is their only child. That's worth mentioning.
Well, and again, that does kind of make sense, because only childs are often obnoxious.
Yes, and I think it even mentioned their only child that lived, because back then, think about how many pregnancies didn't make it. I mean, there was so many. Yeah. They didn't have the modern
technology, medical interventions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there was just a lot of pregnancies that didn't make it, or they would have the baby and then it could get...
It wouldn't survive.
Exactly. I mean, there were so many diseases and things, and again, not the modern
They didn't
medicines
have
and things.
Exactly.
So you get yellow fever or whatever, and you could die from those things back then. And so...
I mean, back then, they could die of tonsillitis.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, where today it's like nothing.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe not so much in the early 1900s. By then, they may have had antibiotics. But back then, like literally, things that we take for granted today as just it'll be gone in a week. That was not the same for people back in antiquity.
So, and I think it had mentioned a couple of times. It's like, well, that was their only surviving child.
Yeah.
So take that for what it. I mean, who knows how many.
Failed
pregnancies or children that they had but then didn't make it for whatever reason. But
it was a rough life. It's a simple life, and sometimes in our world their lives seem so appealing because it's simple and it's slow.
Yeah.
But it was a hard life, I imagine, because they didn't have our modern conveniences.
Right.
They couldn't just run to McDonald's because they were tired.
Yeah. Exactly. So again, it's just kind of the pros and cons of it, but to kind of like to read a book for however long it took me to read this book, and to kind of like put yourself in that time frame, that time period. It's fun to like imagine what it would be like to live.
It is,
in that time period. But so, anyways, okay. So Daniel sends Aaron to escort her from from California to New Mexico on the train, and of course he makes sure she has her own private car on the train and all of the amenities. I mean, she is it irritates me to no end. She's so spoiled, and the fact that the dad still spoils her after she has acted as ugly as she has acted towards him and her mom.
Excuse my French, but write the little hoochie off.
I mean, pretty much disown them, in a lot of ways. Like, and they're still just spoil her. I'm just like, she doesn't deserve this.
Yeah. Well, and Aaron doesn't want to be there either.
Yeah. He still sees her as a spoiled little girl, I think. Yeah. And he's kind of annoyed that he's having to escort her, but he does it out of loyalty to Daniel. And also the Santa Fe, like we said, he's technically employed by the Santa Fe, but they want to keep Daniel happy because he has ownership in the railroad. So he has stock. He has done so well for himself financially, and he has just made good business dealings and things. So he has like part ownership, I believe, in the railroad.
Yeah.
Or he owns some stocks or whatever in that.
Which is another thing Daniel likes about him, because he's responsible.
Yeah. Yeah. So the people that Aaron worked for at the Santa Fe, they're like, hey, we want to keep Daniel happy. What's their last name?
Garcia.
It's like, we want to keep Daniel Garcia happy. So if he wants you to go escort his daughter, you go do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so.
Which is not that's not a bad place to be in life.
Yeah, definitely.
When people respect you that much.
Yeah, definitely. So it really makes you just have a sense of who Daniel Garcia is.
Yeah.
How well liked he is, how well respected he is. And because also, I guess one thing we didn't mention is I believe they're Hispanic, of Hispanic heritage. Except for the mom, though. The mom is a white lady. So Daniel's wife, what is her name?
I don't think
remember.
I recorded that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's Isabella's mom. I just can't think right now of what her name is. I'm trying to think of what the mom's name is now. But no, she's like a wonderful lady. So her family like disowned her when she decided she wanted to marry a Hispanic man.
Yeah.
And her family did not like that. And she didn't care. And her family was also wealthy. So she got like disinherited from her family's from her inheritance from her family.
Yeah.
But she didn't care because she was in love with Daniel, and so she just married. She was just like, "Wow, if that's the way you want it. That's, I can live with that." She was in love with Daniel, and she married him and started a family with him. And it didn't matter to them that he was wealthy, even at that point in time, because his family. He came from wealth. His family was wealthy.
Yes.
So it didn't matter to them that he was wealthy. He was well off already at the beginning of their marriage. But anyway, so that, that goes back to just racism. I mean, for lack of a better word, but that's how things were back then.
Yeah.
So that was another interesting aspect of it. Helena.
Okay.
That's the mom's
In
name.
all of my notes, all I wrote was Daniel's wife. I don't know why. I never,
Helena.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of it, is she wrote about a Hispanic family instead of a white family. And a lot of the books you read are probably about white people.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that it was about a Hispanic family that was well off, that was respected, that was wealthy. And, so it wasn't just white people that were respected and or wealthy for that matter. And so
in today's vernacular, there was some diversity.
Yeah. So,
and Isabella is mean to her maid.
Oh yeah, her maid is Lupe. And so they're making their journey, their trip, and so she's very kind of prim and proper, and she loves fashion, Isabella does. So she's dressed to the nines, just very prim and proper and all this. Well, one thing we failed to mention is she has a boyfriend named Diego.
Yes, he's a big player in the book.
So she's like, I'm in love with Diego, and we're going to get married. Even though he hadn't proposed to her yet, but I guess they had talked about it.
And Diego also comes from a very wealthy family. His dad and Daniel
and they're
are
also
good
Hispanic.
Friends. They're also Hispanic. His brothers are all very successful. They've have very successful jobs. He
has like 7 brothers or
seven.
something.
Yeah. Well, Diego is the slacker of the family. Like he has no ambition.
He's the black sheep.
Yeah, and basically he wants to marry Isabella because he wants to be in charge of their family's finances.
Yes, even though he's coming from wealth, but his dad is threatening to cut him off.
He's threatening to cut
disinherit
him off. Yes.
Because he
won't get his act
brought
together.
honor to their family name. He hasn't done anything. He's like in his 30s. He's like 35.
Well, all of his brothers, they're establishing businesses. They're becoming.
They've started families of their own. See, he's
they're
like
becoming wealthy on their own merit.
Mm-hmm. And he hasn't settled down. He hasn't gotten married. He's known for sleeping around with loose women.
Yeah.
rumored to have fathered illegitimate children.
Yeah.
He gambles.
Okay,
a
I'm just
lot.
saying, lots of red flags that
Yes.
Isabella should be paying attention to.
Yes, and I feel like she's heard some of these rumors. She's not
Yeah.
totally oblivious to
So
the
do
rumors.
you think, as a woman, if you're really in love with a guy, and really want to be with him, like, can you look past those red flags easily?
I mean, I feel
Could
like
you?
you shouldn't. I feel like you shouldn't look past them because they're red flags for a reason.
Yeah.
And now, true, you can be infatuated, and I think what it boiled down to is that was their relationship was more infatuation than
Yeah.
real love, but and I feel like you can get like googly-eyed, starry-eyed, and kind of
Yes.
lose sight. You lose common sense, and
Yeah.
I feel like we've had this conversation before.
Yeah,
but
well,
like,
and Isabella had a very big, like, adventurous streak in her, and I think that's one thing that appealed her to Diego is Diego didn't want to take any responsibility. He just wanted to have fun.
yes,
And Isabella liked that about him. She liked his adventurous spirit.
yeah, and he was charming, and I think like even when she was little, they've always been neighbors. I guess they've lived close by one another. Their families had.
Yes.
So when she was growing up in California until they moved into Mexico, like I think she knew who he was, and he was older because he's like probably about 10 years her senior. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure she's like, "Ooh, he's cute," like the little
Yeah.
childhood crush, and especially when you're little and you like somebody's older than you have
Yeah.
a crush on them or whatever,
Yeah.
especially if they're like good looking and you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
charismatic and charming and all this. So I think she had like that a little schoolgirl crush on him
That just
when
didn't
she
go
was
away.
a kid that didn't
Yeah.
go away. But then when she grew into a young adult, and then he started seeing her as like, "Ooh, you're pretty, you're grown up now.
You're pretty and your family has money.
Yeah, and started flirting with her and stuff. So I don't think it took much for her to be like, oh, he's flirting with me. He likes me,
Yeah, yeah.
But,
So his dad gives him, is it what, a year to
Or 6
become
months,
responsible?
something.
Yeah, I don't remember how much
Yeah.
time. But his dad gives him an ultimatum. He says,
Yeah.
"You know what? Your brothers are successful. You need to step it up. You need to become responsible. If you don't accomplish something within this
Something,
time
anything.
frame,
Yeah.
you're no longer a part of the family."
Yeah, because he's like,
I'm
go
not
work,
gonna
go
support
work
you.
for one of your brothers. I mean, it wasn't an impossible goal.
No.
Really. It was like, I just want you to show that you're trying to be responsible, because he had been irresponsible for 35 years.
Yeah.
And
well, he fritters his life away and
yeah,
gets
and
down to the
gambles
night
and
before.
sleeps around, and
Yeah, and he still has accomplished nothing
Yeah.
in this time frame. Yeah.
so
So at this point, he's desperate.
yeah, and he's hatching a plan now he's already wooed Isabella, but he does want to propose marriage to her, but he wants to basically use her fortune.
Yes.
It's like, okay, well, if my father's going to disinherit me and I'm not going to get that fortune from my family, I'll just use hers.
Exactly,
from her
and
family.
use is the perfect word, because that's what
Yeah.
he's doing. He's using them for, if I can't have access to my dad's money, I'll have access to her family's money.
Exactly. So, loser.
Loser.
We don't like him.
Yes.
So, okay.
We
So
love to hate him.
So going back to they're making their way to New Mexico, and
On the
you know
train.
they have a few encounters along the way. Again, Isabella's a little bit rude to Lupe, which is like her attendant.
Yeah. Well, over nothing, Lupe made the comment that, "Oh my goodness, it's hard to balance on the train," and Isabella's like, "If anybody wants to hear anything from you, I'll ask you," or
We
something.
wanted your opinion, we would have asked for
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Kind of
like,
like servants aren't allowed to speak out of turn.
Which servants in those days
Yeah.
it was kind of like that for
I
them.
mean, well, and that was kind of the way things were, and so you understand why she says it, but it's still
Yeah.
rude that
we've
she says
read
it.
enough books that we know that's how they were treated, but it's still in our culture that doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
it's a shock to see that in our culture where things like that don't really happen anymore.
Yes. Well, and it's a different time. I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
So, but even Aaron though, like understanding that that's what's culturally acceptable at this point, but even in that time era but he was like, there's no sense in treating her that way. It's like, because there was one where they were going to serve them a meal and there was like a table that they could all sit at, and she's just like, I don't need 3 plates, I don't need 3 meals, why did you bring me 3 meals? And it's like, that's for me and Lupe.
Yeah,
like,
this is not all about you.
This is not all for you. And she's just like, you mean you expect all of us to sit here and eat together? Because that was just not proprietary. I mean, that wasn't the way that things worked.
Yeah, the underlings did not eat with the
the servants didn't eat with the master, and whatever he's supposed to be towards her, I don't even know. But yeah, so that wasn't like really proper, I guess, proper etiquette for them to just all sit at a table and eat their breakfast together. He's like, you're being ridiculous. No, we're all going to sit here and eat breakfast together. Like, stop being ridiculous,
Yeah. Although if I was in the position of being a servant, like, would I want to eat and have, with these people? So, yeah.
Because the alternative for Lupe was to go into the little room or whatever and have to sit, like, balance it on her lap and try to eat, I mean.
Yeah, so like, Lupe was taking a little bit a back bite, too, because that was different for her to have anyone consider her.
Like, to treat her with respect.
Yeah, and to consider her comfort.
Her needs or comforts. Yeah. So immediately, like Aaron, because he's not a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
And he doesn't view himself as better, looking down on people that are beneath him, and you know, because he was just being kind, and like you were saying, in today's time, I mean, we wouldn't think anything about that.
No.
I mean, who wouldn't just sit there and eat a meal together? It didn't matter, it wouldn't have mattered.
What your station in life is.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, I don't know anybody that has servants. I know there probably are people out there that are wealthy that have maids and cooks butlers or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe Elon Musk doesn't have dinner with his hired help. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that upper 1% lives. But,
the very wealthy. Exactly.
Yeah. But it's not as prevalent today as it was back then.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I agree. All right. So you said you have a discussion point here.
Well, I just, she's not a person of faith, even though her family is a person of faith. Isabella has kind of, I guess, stepped away from her family faith or whatever. And she sort of has resentment about God because there have been times when she's prayed and God didn't answer her prayers or whatever. And so she's kind of has backed away from her faith. I just thought that was interesting because I think that it probably is even still a thing today. People think, well, God doesn't give me what I want. I prayed for blah, 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 and God didn't give it to me. And so it discourages them. It turns them away from faith. What do you think about that?
Well, and again, this is something that irritated me about her, is because she was so self-centered and so self-involved. She couldn't consider anyone else's feelings but her own. And it was such a laser focus on what she wanted. Yeah.
Like, but that's her dad kind of formed her into that by giving her the life that he gave her.
Yeah, I guess I could see that, where she was very spoiled, that's for sure. At the same time,
I never grew up spoiled. We didn't have enough money. Like, our needs were met. We led a comfortable life, but we were not spoiled by any stretch. We were not wealthy.
Me either. But
I'm glad. I would not want to be a person like Isabella. So
no,
I'm glad we weren't like that.
But I feel like Daniel did try to instill in her, like, hey, we need to try to help those that are less fortunate than us, because that was his whole ministry. His whole life was spent helping others. He built this town.
That's why he founded this town.
Yeah, and he was really trying to meet the needs of the townspeople. And so I feel like Isabella maybe even felt like she cared more about the townspeople than he cared about her. Mm-hmm. And maybe he didn't do a good job of, I don't know, again, I feel like she had every comfort. She had everything she could ever want or ask for. They knew she loved fashion, so it gave her a closet full of clothes. I mean, but maybe they didn't take hey, come with me today and see how I spend my day. Come with me in town and see how I interact with the townspeople and see how they live and get a sense of what it's like to be more of a commoner.
Well, she wouldn't have done that anyway.
Maybe, yeah.
At least in the beginning.
She wouldn't have liked that at all, yeah.
Because she liked she liked feeling above everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. So in the fact that she blames God for, or she just, I guess, gave up on I believe that she still believed in God. I don't think she became, agnostic or atheistic or anything like that.
Yeah.
She still believed that there was God. She just believed that he was uncaring.
She was just kind of disenchanted.
And she just believed that he didn't care. Like, well, anytime I ever prayed to him, he never gave me what I wanted. He never, listen to that phrase. He never gave me what I wanted. So
me.
Yeah. And it's just like, but there's more to life than what you want.
Yeah.
And to get out of it.
Yeah.
So again, just very, very self-centered and involved.
This girl's going to have a good growth arc or something. Yeah.
So of course she feels that way. And then, just like the inner dialogue of her, the reasoning for why she doesn't like her parents or kind of disown them or whatever, to where, she just blamed them for ripping her. They ripped her away from her home in California, and that's where she was happy. And she could never understand why they did that. And we find out later that there was actually a pretty good reason for it that they didn't tell her, and they should have.
They should have.
I don't understand why.
Especially, I can understand keeping things from your kids when they're 10.
Yeah, and she was 10 at the time.
But
they never told her.
But at some point, when your kids get to the age that they can understand such things, you need to be open and tell them. So that was a judgment call on her parents that was wrong.
I agree. They should have, and even at 10, I feel like they could have told her something. They didn't have to be just brutally honest about it, but they could have just been like, all right, honey, we know you love it here in California, but your dad, he's sick right now, and we believe if we move to New Mexico, the arid air there is going to help him feel better.
Yes.
I mean, would that not just be a good enough explanation?
At least it was an
10-year-old?
explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, this is why we're moving from California to New Mexico.
Yeah.
And there is an actual reason, and it's for his health. It's for his, to benefit your dad's health.
Although as self-centered as Isabella was, I'm not even sure
maybe it wouldn't have mattered.
But at least she would have known. At least she would have known.
Yeah. So at any rate, but so she's totally in the dark about all that, and she never understood why. She just feels like they were uncaring, and just ripped her away from the only home she'd ever known, and she had a horse that she loved, even though they moved the horse to New Mexico, and that wasn't good enough for her. But and at the time, I believe her grandparents were still alive, but they passed away. So she, they weren't there when the grandparents passed away. But then it just left the aunt, which is Josephina. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so just all wrapped up in her own feelings and her own wants and needs and desires. That's all she can see.
They make their trek from California to New Mexico. They finally get back home, and Isabella sees the town, and she sees that there's actually some growth that's happening since the last time she's been here.
The town has grown.
I don't remember what kind of commerce was there. Do you remember reading that? But it wasn't just. It was more than what it was when she left.
Yeah. All I know is the main thing was the silver mining. I know that was like the crux of.
I know there was
the
a
town.
diner there because
But
Aaron
they would
and his
have
best
like
friends.
mercantiles. They would have restaurants.
Yeah. See, and to me, this would be the perfect opportunity. And I don't know, women probably weren't as involved in jobs. So I'm like, Isabella was really big into fashion. Like, how cool would it have been if she could have opened a dress shop?
Right.
To open up some more commerce. Yeah. I know women didn't typically do stuff like that in these days, but.
Yeah. I mean, if she had cared at all, she could have. But the thing is, she never gave it a chance.
Because they had the money to. Well, exactly. Because she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to lay any roots there.
She was determined that she was not going to like it there.
Yeah.
And another thing that it talks about is she never made any friends. She refused to make friends there. She didn't want to have any roots there.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So she was just very stubborn.
Yeah.
And again, it's very hard to like this woman at this point.
It is. Yeah. They have 3 churches there now. There's 2 doctors. There's a hospital. Yep. So there's the town is experiencing some growth. The Christmas season is coming up, and their parents' church makes things for impoverished people, blankets, socks, stuff like that. So her mom tells her that for the upcoming holidays, they could use Isabella's help in, Well, of course, that is not something Isabella wants to do because she's too self-centered to consider socks for people that need them.
Well, yeah, I mean, she can't bring herself down to that level to like darn socks or knit socks.
So this is where she makes the announcement that, well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get too involved because I'm going to marry Diego.
Yeah, she does like make that announcement finally.
Yeah.
I think her parents know who he is. Again, they are family. Their families are friends with one another. So the dads are friends.
Yeah.
And have kept in contact.
Mm-hmm.
So Diego's dad has written letters to Daniel off and on over the years, but he has told Daniel about Diego. So and Daniel knows all the little rumors. Yeah. And Daniel knows that his dad put these conditions upon him. Mm-hmm. If you don't accomplish blah 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 by blah blah blah, I'm not going to support you anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So Daniel is immediately against. Isabella marrying Diego. He's
he basically tells her. He literally tells her, "I cannot permit that."
Right. Yeah. And it's like, again. Different time where, especially, he's like the patriarch of this family. He's the patriarch of this town. And back then, I'm sure, especially in a family like this, the dad had some say in what his daughter, who his daughter married.
Women tended to be more subservient to the men because of the culture of that day.
Yes.
Yeah. Isabella kind of strikes me as she's kind of the equivalent of a feminist today.
Yeah, she was definitely toting that line a little bit, for sure. She definitely had a free spirit about her. Didn't want to be told what to do by her dad, obviously, because this has been since she was a kid. She's been fighting against her dad and his wishes.
I mean, literally since she was at least 10.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously there's not a fear in her that I feel like other kids may have had, like almost kind of afraid of their dad to go against him.
Exactly. Like for me, like I would be afraid to rebel too much against my parents because I'm leading a lifestyle that I don't want to lose. Well, without dad's money.
And that was the thing back then, especially when you're talking about generational wealth, is you could be disinherited and you could lose that wealth.
Exactly. I would toe the line.
Definitely.
I mean,
so I think she was so self-involved. She was so wrapped up in just her own little world.
But do you think she was so used to having the free, because money gives you freedom. Money gives you total freedom.
She didn't know what it was like to be poor.
No, and that's why I'm like, I'm wondering if part of her mentality came from the fact that she could not conceive of never having this life that she had. She couldn't, and especially as a girl, I would think in those days, I am no expert on historical times, but part of me wonders if she maybe, do you think maybe young women were not as apt to be disowned from their parents as like boys were?
Probably not, because I feel like there was a sense of you take care of the women. They need to be taken care of.
So maybe she also had that knowledge going on.
Reading this book, I never once got the sense that she was ever worried or concerned, not an ounce of worry or concern that she would be disinherited and not be taken care of financially. I don't think that was ever a thought in her head, and probably would never have happened, honestly. Even if she remained to be a horrible, terrible person, she still would have inherited all of her family's wealth. I mean, I feel like that was just going to happen regardless.
Which is probably why she was so comfortable rebelling, because she knew that what happened to Diego, because he was a man, she knew that was probably not going to happen. It never occurred to her that could happen to her too.
No, not once. No. And I mean, I say she's a horrible, terrible person. She was just so spoiled. I mean, I think, she wasn't a horrible, terrible person in that, not like Diego, where she wasn't, going out gambling. She wasn't going out sleeping, around and things like that. Like, she wasn't doing like immoral things.
No, she was just obnoxiously annoying and
spoiled. Bull brat. Yeah. That's just what it boils down to. And then no compassion towards anyone else.
No.
Not even our own parents. Like,
No.
none. Zero. No
Well,
empathy,
but that was kind of a
no
trademark
sympathy.
of people of that
No
time that
compassion.
were of a certain status.
Yeah.
They really didn't have any compassion to people beneath them.
But her dad did. That's the
But
thing.
her dad did.
He had so much. He was dripping with it. He had so much compassion and empathy and
See,
sympathy.
that's interesting. Like, part of me wonders where does the truth? Because every book I've ever read, historical fiction of people that were in the upper echelon, they were always like that. They always looked down on people.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much of that is actually how people were. Like, I'm sure there were people that were like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Because,
definitely depicted
like
that
you
way.
said, her dad. Yeah, you see that depiction a lot in historical fiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare to see someone like her dad.
Well, and maybe one kind of key difference, and that's one thing that we haven't mentioned, but the book definitely does mention, is that he's a Christian man.
True.
He is a God-fearing, God-loving Christian
When
man.
you have the Holy Spirit in you, you
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
have a compassion in you that non-believers don't.
Yes, 100%. So I think that's the difference.
That's true. I
That's
didn't
the
think.
difference.
I don't know why I didn't think about that, but yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he's trying to abide by biblical principles, and that's what the Bible, and that's God's all about compassion. Jesus was about humility and compassion. So,
I had a pastor. He wasn't the pastor. He was more like a associate pastor.
Mm-hmm.
He made the comment in church once that I'm just not a compassionate person. That's just not one of my. That's just not. I was like, the hallmark of being a Christian should
it's
be compassion.
That's what Jesus. That
How
was like.
can a pastor stand up and say compassion is not my thing?
That blows me away.
I know.
Even like, I guess I can appreciate his honesty, because most people aren't compassionate but pretend to be.
Yeah.
And at least
and
he was
I love
honest
this
about
guy,
it.
not trying to be mean, but yeah, just
but
when
it's
he's
like, who would actually say that though? Really,
in church,
the pulpit?
like I literally think, like I don't know if my mouth literally dropped open, but like
Mine would.
Yeah, I remember thinking when he said that, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Like,
if
did
you
you
are
just say
nothing else as a Christian, you ought to be compassionate.
Yes. Yes. Well, like I said, I guess I can appreciate the honesty, but it's kind of like, I don't see the wisdom in saying it
Yes.
out loud.
Yeah, sometimes you need to exercise your wisdom over your honesty.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like there's a lot of people in church, a lot of preachers, pastors, etc., that they claim that they are humble and compassionate, but they're the opposite of that in real life.
Okay, so here's the thing though. Do people who are really humble, do they really need to tell you that?
Exactly.
If they need to tell people, they're probably
They're
not.
probably not. They're probably the opposite.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
I've experienced that firsthand.
We've been in church our whole lives. We know how this works, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, and I worked at a church for a while.
Oh, you
so
did.
I know.
Yeah, you've
I know
actually
all too
been
well.
you've been on staff at a large church.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yes, moving on. Let's not even go
Yeah.
there.
So later that night, okay, I found this so interesting. Later that night, they've got their Christmas tree up, and they light their Christmas tree with candles.
Yeah. I mean, what else could they do back
They didn't
then?
have twinkle lights back then. But I'm like,
Yeah.
boy, that's a good way for your house to burn down. So, like, that's what's so interesting because,
Yeah.
you know, they did what they
Well, that was the
they
only
did what
way
they
you
knew.
could light
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that they were starting to get, utilities of some kind. They may have had electricity.
Maybe
in
it just
certain-
hadn't made it to here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think they were trying to work on getting, utilities there and things, because I think they had electricity, but it's not like today, like where every home
Everybody
has
had
electricity
it,
or
yeah.
anything. But I think that was starting to make its way. But obviously they didn't have like Christmas tree lights like we have
Right,
today.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's see. I'm looking to see while you're talking to
Yeah.
see when electricity became a thing.
Because I think even in the book it talked about
In
electricity.
1879, Thomas Edison created a long-lasting electric light bulb.
Yeah. And this is the early 1900s. So
Yeah.
it's, and
So
again, when you're
electricity
talking about,
would have been a thing at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah. And
And-
by this point.
yeah, and if you're talking about people or territories that weren't even states yet, they're probably a little bit behind on
Yeah.
the times. But those things are coming, and I feel like they mentioned having maybe electricity, like in their home at least, or something.
Well,
I'm not sure,
especially
but-
once the railroad comes through town. I mean, to me, that's a sure sign of life is things
Yeah.
are about to change in this town.
Yeah, and at least like some of the businesses would probably have electricity and things. So but that's what's like exciting about reading books like this is like they're trying to.
It's so
they're
interesting.
Literally laying tracks for the railroad to come through. They're literally putting up electrical poles so you can have trying to get electricity to this town. They're trying to run lines. And
it would be a very exciting time to be alive, to witness electricity coming.
Like, oh my gosh, we're getting electricity in our town.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being back then and like flipping on the light for the first time in your house?
Yeah, I mean,
or having running water for your
Right.
first time. My mom, when she got married, I can't remember. I was born in '73, so they would have gotten married at least a couple years before that. That's so wild in my mind because running water's always been a thing. But she remembers the first time
that
she took a bath,
like indoor plumbing.
Yes, the first time she took a bath in the house with running water.
And I feel like we're old enough where we have grandparents or great grandparents that had to use outhouses. Where they didn't have indoor plumbing. They didn't have bathrooms in the house. They had outhouses. They'd have to go out and use the bathroom in the outhouse. So, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, really, when you think about
in the grand scheme.
like my grandparent had to use an outhouse or my great grandparent.
Yeah, it's just so wild because we have every modern inconvenience, and really in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long ago. That
it wasn't that long ago.
That people didn't. We may have had it, but not everybody
did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I remember when I was younger, my grandparents they had a landline, but it was a party line. Like 6 or 7 people. Do you know what a party line is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I remember party
6 or 7 people
would share the same.
Yeah, so like if you
wanted to make a call, somebody could already be on the your neighbor might be on and you could like listen to their call. You're not supposed to.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. Yeah, but you could. Yeah, and I wonder how many people did. But I remember my grandparents. I don't know if I actually remember it or if I just remember people talking about it. It seems like I can remember a time when my grandparents had a party line.
I remember, I don't believe we did, but my friend did. I had a friend that I went to junior high school with, and her parents lived kind of out in the sticks, and they had a party line. They were on a party line. I remember that.
Yeah.
And so I remember, picking up the phone and trying to listen into somebody's...
And then you get
which is bad. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, it's like, I heard you picked that up. You better turn that up.
And you can. I know, from living at home, before, because believe it or not, I'm old enough to have been alive at a time when we had no cell phones. And and I hate talking on the phone now. But back in the day, I used to love talking on the phone. And you could hear when somebody in the house...
Pick up the receiver.
Like if I was in the bedroom talking on the phone and somebody in the living room, you could hear that click of somebody...
Yeah. And you're like, I heard you. I know you're listening to me.
Yeah. And you'd try to pick up the phone real
quiet.
slow. It never worked. But
And nowadays, you don't even have landlines anymore. I don't have a landline in my home.
I don't either.
My parents don't have one anymore. I mean, I remember when we used to have one.
If you guys are listening, let us know if you still have a landline. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah. I feel like there are people that still do, but very few.
Yeah.
Very few. It's just cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell
My
phones
grandma still does. Yeah.
Does she?
Uh-huh.
I'm wanting to say my grandparents did before, my grandpa passed away, but, he was married to Nettie, and she's still alive, but she's in a nursing home now. But they still had a landline, until she had to move into the nursing home.
Yeah.
And that's been pretty recent. Okay, so Christmas time is upon them. So Isabella...
And I love Christmas.
She's starting to go along with some of the plans that her mom wants her, some of the things that her mom's wanted her to help her with doing around town and things. She's warming up to some of those things.
This one scene kind of brings back a little nostalgia for me when they were at church and they were handing out brown paper bags with fruit and nuts.
Yes.
I am old enough to remember that when I was young. We used every Christmas season. Usually it was when we kids, we had our Christmas play. And then after the play, they would hand out paper bags. Yep. I'm like, oh, that just brings back memories.
And you'd have nuts in it. Remember the one uncracked?
Yes.
Pecans
and those ribbon
walnuts.
Candies.
Yes, they would have the hard candies that were just all wadded together, stuck together. You'd have to break them apart. But yes, you would have different kinds of...
An apple and an orange.
Yeah, apple and orange, nuts, and the hard candy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, I do too, definitely.
Okay, so once they get the Christmas tree lights set and everything that lit with the candles, Daniel and Helena, is it Helena or Helene? Daniel and Helena are talking, and at this point, we kind of know that the time that he has left is short, and he really wants Isabella, like his dream is for Isabella to settle down, to mature, and take over his business. Like he wants her to take over for him. But she's just too immature. She's only interested in clothes. She's only interested in being in the big city in California.
Well, ultimately, he kind of
gives up on this idea that she's ever going to take over for him.
Well, what he would love to see happen in his wildest dreams is he would love for Aaron and Isabella to marry each other, which they can't stand each other.
Yes.
You know, like they supposedly hate each other, even though you can tell it's like that friction, but it's at the same time, like there's probably attraction.
I love you, but I hate you.
Yes. So it's like, you know, where you're like arguing with that person, but there's still like some kind of a pull, like an attraction there at the same time. We're like, oh, I hate you, but at the same time, I'm attracted to you. Yeah. So we find out, like, in his heart of hearts, he would love for them to marry each other. And Aaron has kind of figured this out. Like, he's like, I'm pretty sure Daniel would love it if I would marry Isabella and run his
I believe Aaron
and
his best friend, I don't remember his friend's name. There are a few scenes with him and his best friend. Yeah. And they do sort of, he kind of has this conversation with Jim at one point. He's like, I think he really has a goal for me to marry Isabel, so we can both run his business. Yeah. And he even told him, I think,
he's like, I can't stand her.
I can't stand her. Yeah. There's no way I'm going to get with her. She's too spoiled.
Yes. It's so funny because Daniel he's pretty transparent in his wishes there. He can't really kind of, he's wanting to try to bring them together in some way, which is why he sent Aaron to get her.
Exactly. Well, and he sees an integrity in Aaron because he knows that Aaron will love and take care of his town in the way that Daniel would want it done. In the way that Daniel would do it.
Like, Aaron has been there for several years. Him and Daniel have worked together.
He's a trusted confidant.
Side by side. So they've built a bond. They've built a connection. He almost views Aaron as like a son he never had.
For sure. Yeah.
And so he respects Aaron just as much as Aaron respects him. And he knows that Aaron's an upstanding man. He's a good Christian man, too.
Yeah.
And so,
what better person to take over once you're gone?
Really, and Daniel has really mentored Aaron in a lot of ways, and spiritually
he's grooming him. Spiritually too. And in the business.
Yeah, so Aaron's a little bit torn because there's part of him that wants to pursue he wants to pursue his occupation at the Santa Fe.
Yes, he
on
wants
the
to grow in the
ranks. He wants to pursue that. Mm-hmm. He had plans for that for himself. So he's kind of torn between like the desires that he had, but it's kind of like, when you're young and you like make plans for yourself, and you know what the Bible says, it's like you can have the best laid plans for yourself and then God can come along and just change it all,
Yeah.
So it's like he'd made plans for himself, but then life gets in the way of that a little bit. And as the years go on and he grows even closer with Daniel and things like that, he starts getting a little conflicted, a little confused as to what do I really want, and also what's God's plans for me.
Yeah, what does the Lord want me to do?
Yeah. And so he's starting
that's wisdom. When you get to the point in your life where you're not concerned so much about what I want, but what does the Lord want me to do? What would the Lord have me to do? That's true wisdom.
That's growth, and that's mature. That's spiritual maturity.
Absolutely.
To just be like, God, I lay down my will and my way,
and really it makes sense.
Have your will and your way.
Yeah, and it makes sense that Aaron wouldn't want to be with somebody because you want to be equally yoked with a person. And Isabella is so spoiled rotten and cares about nobody but herself. That's really an incompatibility to be with someone like Isabella.
Yeah. It really is kind of being unequally yoked at that point in time because she's not like a professing Christian. She's not like currently.
I think she has head knowledge. She doesn't have it in her heart.
Yeah, where she has just kind of put God up on a shelf. Like, he's there. I believe he exists.
Well, guess what? The devil believes that God exists.
Yeah, but she's like, but I don't think he cares about me, and he's distant and uncaring and all this. So she just kind of wrote him off, so to speak. Yeah. Put him up on the shelf a little bit. Yeah. So, no, I agreed. Like, that for Aaron, he's like, yes, she's beautiful, but she's so spoiled and she's so self-centered.
What kind of helpmate would she really be?
So, okay, on the day before his 35th birthday, Diego goes to speak with Josefina.
Okay, so this is where the book gets really interesting. Yeah, tell him about it. He approaches Josefina because he's got this grand scheme.
Yeah.
Since his dad has... Okay, at this point, has his dad already...
I feel like it's
written him off, or is
not
it,
quite? He is like at that deadline. Like, I got to do something.
I think his 35th birthday was the deadline.
Yes, you're right. It is. So that's the day.
And he has accomplished nothing in the months since his dad had this first conversation. So he's desperate at this point.
He is. So he came up with this plan. He's like, I'm going to go talk to Josefina. Like, hey, I have a relationship with her.
And Josefina doesn't she live in the family ranch?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That belonged to Daniel.
Yeah, it was Daniel and Josefina's family ranch. So it's belonged to their parents that belonged to their parents, you know.
Yeah.
So she's the one that stayed on to live there. So he's like, I got a plan. And he's like, I know Josefina, you know, she's obviously the aunt of Isabella, who I've been courting for a while, and they've spent some time together, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he goes over there early one morning and like asked to speak to her unannounced. So because I feel like back in that day, you would have made plans. She would know that you're coming. You know what I'm saying? Like you would almost made an appointment.
You wouldn't just show up.
Yeah. You would like make an appointment like we do today, you know, with like a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
But so showing up without the forewarning that he's coming, that was a little bit, that wasn't like proprietary to just show up unannounced like that. So, but
that would have been, well, I mean, that's really kind of considered rude even today, but it really would have been back then.
Yeah.
Especially a man calling on a woman. Is 1911 or whatever time period, was that a time period when it was kind of unsavory, so to speak, for an unmarried man and an unmarried woman to be in the same room together?
Alone, probably so, even though she was a much older woman. But she did have servants there, so she wasn't completely alone. But when so he shows up and he's like, I'm here to see Josefina, and they were like, oh, we weren't expecting you, but okay. And so the servant goes and tells her, and okay, tell him to meet me in the drawing room or whatever. And so they do have privacy where the servant leaves them in the room alone. And so he tells her his scheme of like, hey, I want to like come on and be like your foreman. For just the horses and the things that you got, just you know, to take care of the land there, the property, because I believe they have horses. I believe it's like a ranch where they have maybe cattle and horses and whatever else. And so he's like, I want to be like a foreman or whatever and take care of all this for you. And
he also wants to take care of the finances.
Yes, because I can make lucrative deals, and I can, you know, and all this.
And I'm just saying, you don't want somebody with Diego having anything to do with your money.
No, but he was trying to make it sound like, you know, he could make good business deals and things and handle the finances. And
he's like, hoping they don't know of his reputation.
Right, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, but she informs him that she no longer owns that property. And he's like, wait, what are you talking about? And so we didn't know this either as the reader.
This is where we learned this,
What?
Diego's
she said, no,
dad.
Somebody purchased this land. Now, she didn't tell Diego it was his dad at that point in time. I don't think he learned that it was his dad that purchased it. She just said, someone purchased this land for me with the contingency that I could live here as long as I wanted.
Until she lives, until she dies.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh my gosh, that was news to him. And she's like, so... therefore, I can't make you a foreman here. I can't, you know, like this isn't gonna work. Your plan isn't gonna work.
I'm just a resident here.
Yeah, it's like I'm just like basically a house guest.
Yeah.
And so she's like, so as you can tell, like your plan isn't gonna work. You need to leave now. And she was a little bit rude with that, a little bit short-clipped with them because she's heard about his reputation.
Yes, his reputation preceded him.
Yes.
It didn't say that, but I really think they knew. She knew.
And I think she maybe even threw a few little barbs at him in regard to his slandering ways. I think so. And so, she was, and I think she even mentioned about Isabella, or she's like, Daniel will never allow you to marry Isabella. And so,
and people keep telling him that. This is not the first time someone's told him that. Mm-hmm.
I think his dad told him that probably.
Probably, yeah.
And so it was kind of like, ooh, like some tension there. And she's like, you can
and for
see
a guy
yourself
like
out.
Diego, that's almost like a
Like a slap in the face.
Well, and it's almost like a challenge.
Yeah.
I can see someone like Diego taking that as a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So she's like, see yourself out. We're done here.
Yeah.
So she goes up the stairs. He follows her up the stairs. So they're at the top of the stairs. And reaches and grabs her arm like, wait, like he's like, I've got to convince her.
He doesn't have any malice. He doesn't do it with malice.
And he grabs her. He's like, no, wait, like, let's talk about this some more. And she jerks her arm away and loses her balance and falls down the stairs and to her death.
Yes.
She like breaks her neck. And he is like stunned. He didn't push her down the stairs, but he didn't also try to reach out and catch her or run down and see if he could help her.
Yeah, he didn't call.
He just took off. It spooked him. She looked like she was dead. He didn't know for sure, but he just took off. He's like, I'm not going to be caught in this situation.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, nothing good ever comes from running away from something like that.
Oh, my Lord. Definitely. And the thing is, the servants saw him there, knew he was there, so he couldn't hide the fact that he had been there that morning. And he didn't. He was at least smart enough to not lie about that. He took off and he was like gone all day. He finally shows back up to his parents' houses, which is where he's living. And they were like, get in here, Diego. It's like, did you hear about Josephina? She fell down the stairs and died. And he's like, oh my gosh, like acting like all surprised. Because he's like, well, I just saw her this morning, but she was fine when I left, So he lied.
Yeah.
But, I mean, come on, what kind of a person doesn't run down and try to be like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, try to resuscitate the person or try to see if, like, they're still alive and they need assistance.
That's
go
what
get help.
a person of compassion would do.
Yeah, which he's not.
Yeah.
So he was selfish and thought about himself and just ran out and got out of there before anybody could link him to that incident. Yeah. So there's that. The sheriff or whoever, they want to question him. They were looking for him, but again, he didn't show up till late. And so the dad's like, you need to get out of town. Yeah. So the dad sends him to New Mexico. And that was his plan too. He wanted to go to New Mexico. It all worked out for Diego. Yeah. Where he's like, good. My dad wants me to go. I want to go because I need to go secure this engagement with Isabella. Mm-hmm. I need to get this in the bag. We need to get married as soon as possible. This is his last ditch effort to try to secure a fortune.
He's got to get his talons in her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so where are we at now?
So he talks to the police. He tells them that he was the last to see Josephine alive. They let him go, and he heads off with New Mexico, quote unquote, to help her during her grief.
Yes. Okay. And then, so Daniel's condition is worsening, with doctors convinced he has cancer rather than tuberculosis.
And again, I didn't know cancer was a thing in 19...
I think it's always been a thing. They just maybe didn't know what to call it.
Well, yeah, it's always been there, but yeah, I found it real interesting that they thought it was cancer. I was like, I didn't know.
But they're not advanced enough to really be able to diagnose what it is. Yeah, for sure to say this is cancer.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is why they went to New Mexico, beginning to realize that it's probably more than tuberculosis or whatever they thought it was. Because and it's not working.
He's obviously getting weaker. Better. He's getting sicker. They know his time is coming. They know it's short.
Diego and the family lawyer, they get him to New Mexico. And Isabella's parents finally tell Isabella about Josephina's death. And Josephina actually tells him, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have left her. I shouldn't have left California because she's having these dizzy spells and she must have went up the stairs. Well, so that she kind of unknowingly
gives him an alibi.
Or she takes the focus off of him and puts it on.
Well, and it makes sense. It's like, she had she had been having dizzy spells. We didn't realize that. Isabella was the only one that knew about that, I guess.
Yeah, so the lawyer says, well, okay, I will call. This is something that they need to know in California because he knows they've got the suspicion on Diego. Right. So he says, I'm going to call them and let them know about her dizzy spells because that
could explain it. That could so explain it. Yeah. So it's like, oh my gosh, she just gave him a good reason to avoid being found out.
Exactly. Well, so Diego thinks this is the perfect time to drop the bomb. I want to marry Isabella. And his father is like, no, not going to happen. You're a philanderer. You're a womanizer. Rumors are you have a child, or at least one, if not more. And he was no, you will not marry my daughter.
Yep.
Isabella learns that she's about to receive half of her aunt's money.
Yep.
Which will be placed in a trust that she cannot touch until she's 30. She's currently 25 years, so 5 more years before she has access to the money, or until she's married a man of which her father approves.
Yes.
So again, Diego's out.
So Daniel makes him an offer. He says, okay, if you will work in the silver mine for 1 year to prove your honor, to prove your worth, then maybe I'll consider giving Isabella, giving
Diego's pleading his case. When his father says, no, you're not going to marry my daughter, he's pleading his case. And this is when he finally says, okay, the only way I will agree to this, to even think about it, to even consider it, is if you go to work for a year in the mines and prove yourself as a responsible man. Yep. Then we'll think about it.
Then we'll consider it.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I was surprised. I didn't think Diego would even entertain that for a second. Did that surprise you? That he actually
totally.
Went through with it?
Yeah. Well, of course, she runs out angry, being the 3-year-old that she is. Isabella, she's angry.
Pouting. Can't believe you're going to try to deny me the man that I love. And, of course, he's always scheming. I think at some point he suggests they elope.
See, right now they're appealing to her dad. Well, we really want to get married because we want you to be here to see Isabel get married. So they're sort of appealing to that part of him. Yeah. And of course, they all know that Dad's not well. If he wants to see his daughter get married, they have to do it really soon. So they sort of run out, and Aaron overhears their plans of this marriage needs to happen right away.
Right. Again, always scheming. That Diego is, for sure.
Yeah.
Even she was scheming with him at this point, saying, if I tell him that I want my father to walk me down the aisle, while he's still living, maybe he'll agree to letting us get married sooner rather than later. Yeah. And yes, Aaron does overhear this. And again, disappointing to hear Isabella having no regard for anybody else's feelings but her own.
Yeah, and it's like knowing your dad is about to die. If you can't have respect for your dad while he's on his deathbed, you're never going to.
Yeah, and instead of being concerned about her dying father, she's like, hey, let's take advantage of the fact that he's dying and try to get him to let us marry.
Concocted this plan,
Oh, my
to
Lord.
manipulate him into letting them get married.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, Aaron is she is driving him further and further away from wanting anything to do with her.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So there's this big party coming up that celebrates the upcoming statehood of New Mexico. But Daniel makes Diego stay behind and work at the mines, which of course infuriates Diego. Because he's a party guy. He wants to go out and enjoy the festivities. But he does it. He stays and works the mines.
Yeah. It's just shocking. Still, it's kind of like, I can't believe he's actually doing it.
Aaron talks to his boss about Daniel, because at this point, Daniel has told him, I really want you to take over for me. I'm not going to be here much longer. To take care of the business and Isabella, and the boss is actually excited about this, which is kind of a conflict again for Aaron, because he really, I think he may have been hoping his boss would say, no, we really want you to stay.
Right. At that point, I think he was still maybe hoping for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when he's just like, it's like, it seems like everybody is really, even God is trying to get me to do this thing other than this thing,
Yeah. So here's where Isabella and Diego, they get back together on the sly. He gives her this expensive emerald ring and tries to get her to elope. But she's hesitant because she knows she'll lose a lot if her father doesn't approve. And this is where they concoct the plan for the abduction. Since she won't usurp her parents' will, he proposes they set up a fake abduction of her that he would set up with his good friends. and they would set up a ransom.
Yeah. Basically trying to extort money out of her parents.
Yes.
And for 1 second, did he think she would agree to this? I mean, even though she is very self-centered and very selfish, even she's not that foolish.
Well, I'll be honest.
Did you think she would agree to it?
I thought she would. I really kind of thought she would, because Isabella's kind of conniving, just like Diego is.
not as bad as him.
Not as bad as him,
yeah.
but I could see her
being talked into it,
reducing herself to something like this to get what she wants.
See, I didn't think so. I didn't think she would stoop to that level.
So at this point, you've read the book sooner than I am. At this point, are we starting to see any softening of Isabella toward being in the town?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe she is starting to soften towards the town, but also towards her parents. I think
especially once she knew that her dad was in such a dire situation.
They finally bring to light. Well, and I think she does pretty early on. She knows that, okay, he's sick, and she didn't realize. She just thought she knew he kind of was like sickly over the years, but didn't realize the extent of the sickness.
Yeah.
So then it's brought to her attention, no, he's really sick, Isabella. Like, he's dying.
He's dying. He's not just sick, he's dying.
Yeah, and so she didn't realize that. So it's brought to her attention, I think pretty early on, like even on the trip there, I think Aaron mentions, like, do you not realize that, like, or do you not care that he's sick? You know, like a sick man?
Yeah. At this point, I think we need to go into a spoiler zone.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the read for anybody that wants to read it. So hopefully, for those of you that maybe want to pick up this book, you may want to step out now, read it for yourselves, and then once you've read it, maybe you can come back and listen to the rest. So if you're leaving us, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. Tell us what happens next.
Okay, so she doesn't agree to that plan, and I didn't think she would. I was proud of her for not being talked into something so foolish, just so outrageous and out there.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think she was ever to the point of wanting to extort money out of her parents. I don't think she was ever going to agree to a plan like that.
No.
So she's like, no, that's ridiculous. We're not doing that.
Part of me wouldn't have been surprised if she had agreed to it. But
But at this point, she was starting to soften towards her parents a little bit, towards maybe the thought of living there. But at the same time, she was still not ready to acquiesce to like, oh yeah, I'm going to live here now.
Yeah.
But she, of course, the news of her aunt dying was just devastating to her. She was really close with her aunt.
She was.
It was really the last vestige of her old life in California.
Well, really, with her aunt gone, and
finding that they sold the ranch.
She
didn't know that either.
She doesn't have anything left, really, in California.
Yeah. See, she was unaware that they had sold the ranch. Yeah. And again, that's her parents keeping something from her that they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I think they should have told her
at this
about
point,
that.
Isabella was
She's
old
25.
enough to know, to understand these things.
Yes. So they should have told her a long time ago
but
about
then
her
again,
dad's
part
sickness.
of me wonders if the reason they didn't, though, they know how spoiled and bratty Isabella is.
Yeah.
They knew that they would be opening up a can with her if.
Well, they didn't want her to be hurt. That was I guess their reasoning for keeping her in the dark all this time.
But this is kind of one of those things where, yes, you want to shield them from hurt and anger, but they're going to be even more angry when they find out the truth.
Yeah, and that you kept it from them.
Yeah, and then you've got you should have told me.
So I don't agree with the parents in keeping her in the dark all these years. So so all at once she finds out her beloved aunt has died, and finds out that they sold their ranch in California. So she has nothing to go back to.
Yeah, there's nothing to
even
go back
if she
to.
wanted to. Mm-hmm. Her and Diego was trying to scheme. Well, like if we get married, then maybe my parents would let us live on that property because his parents now owned it.
Yes,
but they had plans to make it into a racetrack or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it's not going to be the same and all this, Well, anyways, it was a lot for her to take in, and she's trying to process all of this. And again, she finally does find out why they moved to California or to New Mexico to begin with, because he was sick way back then and she just had no idea. So she's like, well, I wish you would have told me. I wish I could have known that. Yeah. Like maybe I would have felt differently all these years.
Maybe I wouldn't have been as
so
bratty.
unhappy, and all this. So anywho.
So Diego talks to a couple of his bumble-headed friends,
Yeah.
And, because at this point, she's already told him, you're not going to pretend to abduct me. We're not going to do that.
She doesn't agree to that. Right.
But Diego talks to a couple of his friends, and he plans to go ahead with it without her consent. And I just want to know what kind of morons would go along with
it. Especially the people that lived in this town that knew Daniel was a good man, that was treated well by Daniel. Why would they ever go along with Diego?
But he convinced them that Isabella was in on it.
That's true. He did tell them that at first, but he did come clean with them. So it kept evolving. The plan did.
Even once they found out that Isabella was no longer willing to go along with that charade.
So, no, am I getting ahead of it? Because Daniel finally has a talk with Isabella, telling her what he knows about Diego. And he finds out from Diego's dad that Diego is married to a different woman. That's not Isabella. He's already married.
Yeah.
And she had a baby, his baby.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm getting ahead of us here, Brett.
Let's see. Isabella starts working with the women of the church to make all they're rolling bandages, making baby blankets and woolen socks to help those who've fallen into financial burdens. She sort of goes back in her mind to the time that she prayed and accepted Christ. And then so she and the women, they sort of have like a good, we'll kind of leave you readers to kind of read that. That's a fun little story.
That woman has a testimony about her life.
And the theme of it is, even if you think you've gone too far for God's
like a
love,
prodigal son,
you really haven't. And
they can always come back.
And I actually had this conversation with someone not too long ago. If you're worried about having gone too far for God, you haven't gone too far. People who have gone too far, who their conscience is seared. The Bible talks about having a seared conscience. I think once you get to the point that you know that you have a seared conscience, you no longer have the ability to care whether you've gone too far or not.
Yeah.
So there's a good little story about that.
And I think it gets Isabella thinking about her relationship with God, thinking about, where did it derail?
It sort of revives that.
Yeah, and she's like, I think she's starting to turn. She's starting to realize that she's been selfish all these years.
Yeah.
And that she's only ever thought about her own wants and needs and desires. And so she's starting to see things from other people's perspectives, from her parents' perspectives. Like, well, okay, it makes sense now why they moved us here. And now that I know that he was sick and it was for his health, and and I know that they've always loved me, and they've always, so she's really starting to become less
Yes, you're starting to see a positive turn in Isabel, a definite one. So while she's talking to the women, they're sort of, after hearing this woman's testimony, they're sort of rejoicing and, praising the Lord and everything. Well, Aaron comes in and says, okay, you and Helena need to come home right now. Your father's taking a turn for the worse. He's in bed, not doing well. This is the point where once they get back home, Isabella and Aaron, they sort of start talking. Well, Aaron sort of says, hey, I don't know if you're aware, but I think your dad really has it in his mind that you and I are going to get together.
Yeah.
He wants me to take over leadership of the town, watch after you and your mom. Well, she flippantly tells him, I think Dad would like me to marry you.
Yeah.
So this is where they kind of have the first conversation about that. Yeah, I think they both kind of, especially him, I'm not sure if she knew it at this point.
Right.
Do you remember?
She's starting to, I think.
Yeah, she's starting
to.
She
was completely oblivious.
Yeah.
To a certain point.
Yeah. So this is where they have a little conversation about, well, do you think God hears our prayers? Even though her dad and she haven't had the best relationship, she doesn't want him to die. And so they sort of have a little discussion there about prayers. And of course, Aaron's a good, strong man of the faith. Mm-hmm. So that was a fun little conversation. We'll kind of leave some of this for you guys, listeners, if you want to read it to discover on your own.
He begins to see a slight change in her, noticing that she isn't as hard-hearted as she was when she actually came back 2 months ago.
Yeah, and she actually, as they're talking, she has sort of an emotional breakdown, and he takes her in his arms and consoles her. So this is the first time when you see them being sort of intimate with each other.
Yes.
Not intimate in a...
Well, and they're starting to get along better. They're not just fighting, because they were just fought constantly. They were just bickering back and forth at each other. So they're starting to get along. And again, her heart is starting to soften towards her parents, and she even talks to him, kind of confides in him, like, I think I was too hard on my parents, when I was younger, and now I regret that.
Because she didn't know what she knew now.
Yeah.
And I think the situation with Diego, this whole abduction thing, I think that really was the turning point in getting her out of the grasp of Diego. So now she's getting to where she really wants nothing to do with Diego.
Yeah, well, because a little bit later here, it talks about Daniel and Isabella go on a horseback ride, and he's like, all right, I have to just spill my beans and tell her what I know about Diego, what I've heard, what his father has told, like a legitimate source has told me, that he's already married to some other woman, and they have a baby. So that was kind of like the last nail in the coffin for Isabella's desire to want to marry Diego. She's kind of over him now. Yeah.
And wasn't she like some kind of starlet or something? That he had
like an actress. Like she was trying to have an acting career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so he, come to find out, it was like a farce. He paid an actor to marry them, to be like a priest and marry them or whatever.
And it was a fraudulent marriage.
Yes, so it wasn't a legal marriage, but she thought it was.
But she thought it was real.
Because she didn't want to sleep with them until they were married, and so he was willing to go through a farce.
Back in the day when people had morals.
Yeah, and so he's like, all right, let's get married.
Yeah.
And so fake married her, slept with her, got her pregnant. And so...
What a despicable human.
I mean, he's left her high and dry, like he has the other women that he got pregnant.
Yeah.
Left them high and dry, too, with a child that he supposedly fathered. So, not the first time that he's done this, but the first time that he's pretended to marry one of them, I believe.
Yeah. So we really... Everybody is starting to see... I love this next part of the story. So Isabella goes to help prepare dinner, which again is very unusual for her because these type of things are. But you're starting to see the real change in Isabella, and she actually goes to Lupe. And she feels bad for the way she sort of has treated Lupe all these years, and she apologized to her, and she tells her, if you want to go back to California, I will pay to send you back to California. Well, Lupe, even though Lupe's such a good person, she says, no, I want to stay here with you.
But she's been loving it in New Mexico. I think she even found like a boyfriend or whatever. So she's been thriving. She doesn't want to leave New Mexico. She's loving it there.
Well, Isabella's kind of stumped by this because she knows how she's treated her.
Isabella didn't want to force Lupe to stay with her in New Mexico.
To be her decision.
Yeah, she's like, if you want to stay, then that's totally fine. But if you wanted to go back, if you had family there or ties there, if you wanted to go back there, then you're free to do that.
But she makes sure that Lupe understands it's not going to be the way it was before. She's going to be nicer to Lupe. Lupe's going to be able to live her own life, and so this was just a lovely, again, another turnaround moment for Isabella.
Yes. So Isabella is starting to have these confession moments of, going to Lupe and apologizing. And I'm sorry for the way I've treated you. She apologized to her dad. She apologized to her mom. Yeah. So she's trying to make things right with people that she feel like she's wronged in certain ways. And so it's good to see, good to see as a reader, her make this shift and this turnaround, and to really have a heart change. And again, I think she's starting to even reconsider a relationship with God at this point too, and trying to starting to pray to God again and things like that. So really seeing a heart change in her. Yeah,
you're starting to see evidence of the Holy Spirit working in her life.
Yes, I agree.
So Isabella and Aaron, a little bit later, they have a little talk about Diego, and Aaron kind of fesses up to her. He said, your dad really wants me to take over his affairs, but I'm really afraid to do it because I'm afraid if I say, okay, if I agree to everything you want me to do, he's afraid that's going to give permission Daniel to die.
Yes. That is what he's hanging on to.
Yeah.
He's clinging to life until these things can be resolved.
Yes.
And you get that sense. I mean, totally. Definitely, where he is fighting to stay alive. until he knows that things are going to be taken care of, especially his wife and daughter. He wants to make sure that they're going to be properly taken care of in the right hands, and the town's people are going to be left in the right hands. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel, finally, he confronts Diego with everything, including the news of Diego's indiscretions, which, again, he already knew, but I think some new stuff had come to light regarding the woman and the baby. So Diego denies everything, makes excuses for everything. So Daniel tells him that he can keep his job in the silver mine for the remainder of the prescribed year, but that under no circumstances is he to see Isabella alone.
Right. And at this point, Isabella's okay with that.
Yeah,
she's
at
like,
this point,
I'm good. We're done. I don't like him anymore.
She's kind of over Diego at this point, or getting to that point.
Yeah. She's like, I think I agree with you. He's bad news.
Yeah. So this is the point where Diego goes to his coworkers and says, "Hey, Isabella's not in on this abduction thing. Are you guys still in?"
And I think Diego could tell. He could see it in her eyes, in her actions, in her. Where she was, he could tell that her feelings had changed towards him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So he's like, all right, I lost her too. He's like, dang it, let's just do it. Let's
so
just abduct her.
Diego and these two lunkheads make the decision to abduct her at the Founders Day celebration that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and so there's a cabin that Daniel owned. It's his cabin. He had it built up in the mountains somewhere. And the workers knew about it. One of the workers knew about it, knew its location, and it's like, it's vacant.
It's very remote.
It's remote. Daniel hasn't even been there in the longest time.
Yeah.
So it's like, that'd be the perfect place to take her. They've never had any plans to harm her.
No.
But it's like, we're going to take her there, hold her there for like a day.
Until
we'll ask for
the ransom.
We'll leave a ransom note at the train station, because that'll make them think that we've gone on the train, and they'll be looking elsewhere. They won't be looking here in town somewhere.
Yeah.
So we'll leave the note at the train station to this ransom, $100,000, I think it was. And
I'm just saying,
$100,000 money in the 1900s.
I mean, that's a lot of money today.
In the early 1900s.
For me, so that's a ton of money in the 1900s.
Right? That's like the equivalent of $1 billion today,
no
probably.
doubt. I was like, woo.
Yeah. So leave them, because they're like, they know he's good for it, he's wealthy, and because they timed it to where like the money train's going to be coming in, so like the bank will be stocked with money or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he'll have the cash on hand, and so leave the ransom note at the train station for this drop-off point. They had this drop-off point all figured out, a good place for them to drop it off. So all right, so they got the plan.
Yeah. They got the plan. They come home one day. They find Dad slumped over at the desk or at the table or whatever. So it's becoming very clear he's literally in his last days. So Aaron sort of reluctantly decides that he's going to not take the job with the railroad. He's going to quit that job, and he's going to take over running the town and take over for watching over Isabella and Helena.
Yeah, and at this point, I feel like at the very least, he has admitted to himself that he has feelings for Isabella.
Yes.
Maybe not to anyone else just yet, but I think he's at least kind of admitting it to himself, like, yeah, I think I'm kind of falling for her. I think I have feelings for her. So he's definitely warming up to the idea of possibly marrying her, as Daniel...
Because I think he's also seeing the change that's slowly happening in Isabella. So it kind of makes sense that he would sort of give over to those feelings, because he's seeing a different Isabella than when he
Oh, definitely.
when he first picked her up and brought her. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He's changed a lot. She has changed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So Daniel tells him that you'll have access, to all of the family money, so you won't ever have to worry about working again. Well, Aaron immediately says, no, I do not want that. I'm not interested in your family money. He said, I will manage it for your family, but I do not want any of it for myself. So Daniel he says, okay, I'll give you a lump sum as a salary.
Yeah, but you got to get paid, right?
But
you got to have a salary.
Paid. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So
put it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. So they kind of reluctantly, Aaron sort of reluctantly agrees to that, and he resigns from the railroad.
It kind of comes to light that there was a man arguing with Josephina
Yeah. Where the marshal comes to town.
Before she fell down the stairs.
Yeah, because, the lawyer had said, I'm going to tell them this new information. Well, the marshal comes to town, and tell us a little bit about that.
So one of the servants overheard them arguing. And I think the servant didn't speak English well, so didn't really know what the argument was about, but he knew by the tone of voice that they were arguing. And did the servant actually, I don't think didn't witness her falling down the stairs, but
he more heard
it and then came and saw her crumpled. But must have missed the man running out. I'm thinking he was in a different room, but could still hear but not see what was taking place.
Yes.
And then I guess Diego had run out before the servant came out to find her.
Yeah. So her dad says, well, since we know there was a man there at the end of her life, do you think Diego is capable of murder? Well, of course, she denies it. But I'm like, okay, you already know that he's willing to concoct an abduction. So why would you think he's not capable of murder?
Right.
Another red flag that she totally ignored.
That's what I didn't understand about Isabella at this point in time, where she's matured some. Again, she's softened. She's making amends, all this.
But it still seems like there's some kind of pull there.
She still seems delusional about Diego, because, it's just he literally told you about his plan to abduct you and or pretend like you were abducted and try to get extort money out of your parents. Yeah. So, you don't think he's capable of maybe... And obviously it was an accident, but at the same time, if he hadn't been there and hadn't grabbed her, followed her up the stairs and grabbed her arm, she wouldn't have fell. Yeah. So he is at fault
because she was trying to get away from him.
Yeah, he is at fault in some way.
Yeah,
he didn't literally push her down the stairs, but he was the reason why she fell down the stairs.
Well, and he didn't. At the very least, when she fell down the stairs, at the very least, he should have called for help and said, "Hey, we need to get it." Whatever the equivalent of an ambulance was in 1911, get the town doctor.
Just left her there.
I mean, they did have a hospital in town, so.
Yeah, and he just left her there to bleed out. She was bleeding.
So, yeah. So anyway, the marshal goes to the mine to confront Diego, and for the first time, Isabella and her mom, they're kind of fearful of Diego at this point. 2 days later, the marshal returns back to the house, and he says he's spoken to Diego, who denies having been at Josefina's house at the time she fell and died. And they don't have enough to charge him, so they kind of have to let him go.
Just let it go. Yeah. Even though it seems way too suspicious. The fact that they know he was there early that morning to talk to her, and the fact that a servant heard a man arguing with her right before she fell to her death. I mean...
But today we would know that...
1 + 1 = 2, people.
Exactly. But today, without proof, today we would know that as circumstantial evidence. Yeah. So anyway, Daniel decides, you know what? We don't trust this guy. I don't like this guy. So he dismisses his employment and gives him a ticket to go home to California. He just wants to get him out of town and away from Isabella.
At this point, everybody's done with Diego. It's we're done with you. She doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. You're not welcome here anymore. Go back to California.
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude.
But of course, Diego, being Diego, he doesn't do it. The day of the Founders Day celebration rolls around. Isabella and her mom, they're all getting all gussied up and everything. She really dresses up in the hopes that Aaron will notice her. Mm-hmm. So again, we're starting to learn more and more how deep her feelings are getting.
Because she's starting to realize that she has feelings for him too.
Yeah, everyone's starting to acknowledge the feelings they have. They're not dismissing them anymore. Yeah. So everyone goes to the celebration. They have a great time. Isabella and Aaron decide that they love each other. And Aaron tells her, I want to ask your dad for your hand in marriage. And she agrees.
How fast did that happen?
It did.
Seriously.
Yeah.
They went from really not even had confessed that they even had feelings for each other. They hadn't even discussed it at all. The prospect of them even liking each other in that way.
Yeah.
And in a moment, in an instant, it was oh, I have feelings for you. Oh, I love you. Oh, you want to get married? I mean, it was just boom, boom, boom.
Let's
there you
go.
Yeah. I mean, how fast did that happen?
Well, but again,
so crazy.
Back in these days, I mean, she was 25 at this time or something like. This was old for a woman to not be married.
Oh, yeah. She was probably considered a spinster.
Oh, for sure. A lot of times these people were married at 12 or 13 years old. So I guess if you look at it in that lens,
but still, yet though, I mean, in the context of this book and the relationship, it was drastically fast.
It was very fast.
Where it happened in one conversation, in like one breath almost.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, oh yeah, like basically confessing that they have feelings for one another, which they had done up to that point, and then like confessing that they love each other, and then just be like, yeah, let's go and get married.
Can we date for 2 months? Yeah, before we have this conversation.
That was just
like, it was funny.
What just happened? Okay.
Yeah, everyone enjoys the celebration. They decide they're going to get married, so he leaves to go pick up Daniel because Daniel was too sick and too weak to go to the celebration. So Daniel said, "You stay home and rest. I will come and pick you up in time for dinner." You know, he said.
Aaron told Daniel.
Aaron told Daniel that, yeah. And then he said, "You can come and have dinner with us. You can address the crowd and everything, and let them see you there."
I mean, literally, they just parted ways, and then a bag is. Put over her head, and she's kidnapped. Then when Aaron gets back with Daniel, they're meeting up for dinner, and they're like, "Where's Isabella? We can't find her." So Aaron's starting to get a little concerned. He looks, where did he leave her last? Looks in that area. I think he goes back to the house to see if she went there. He searched the stables and everything, went back to the place where he left her, where they parted ways, and found something, a barrette or something, her hat. Maybe.
No, the station manager comes up. I think it's the train station manager.
Oh, they come up and they're like,
"There's a straw hat."
Oh, that had the ransom note attached to it. That's what it was. I thought he found something on the ground that belonged to her, but maybe that was.
He may have. But anyway, they ultimately find this hat. It's got a note addressed to Daniel on it, and it's a ransom note that says, "Once we get the money, she'll be returned the next day." And they immediately suspect who?
Diego. Everybody knows.
Everybody
it's
knows.
Diego.
It's just...
There's like no doubt in anybody's mind.
It's just nailing him on it.
Yeah. Diego's so stupid.
Yeah, he is stupid. So they've got her at the cabin. Diego asks Isabella to marry him, but she says no because he doesn't love her. He only loves her money.
And her feelings for him have changed, and she's actually fallen in love with someone else.
Yeah, which does not sit well. Yeah, it doesn't sit well.
Yeah.
The money's delivered, but they catch the 2 men as they pick it up, and they fess up to where Isabella's being told. So, in the words of Mighty Mouse, Aaron sets out, "Here I come to save the day." Yeah.
Yep.
If you know what we're talking about, you old.
Are you saying I'm old?
So he goes off to rescue.
Yeah, he gets a party
Isabella.
Together to let's get up to the mountain. He needed a guide because he didn't know how to get there. And one of the male servants was like, "I know how to get there. I'll take you." And he had some other guys that went with them. And meantime, she had her own little escape plan. And, so while Diego went to go get some firewood or something,
he goes to the
of
shed.
course like pitch black. It's at night, and so she trying to
slink into the shadows of
make her way
the tree line
to the road or something, and but he's not far behind. And then she smells the cologne. That's one thing we hadn't mentioned was the cologne.
That's kind of how she knows that he's there. Yeah,
that Aaron is there because it was like at first it was a scent that irritated her because it reminded her of him, and she didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
And then it grew on her, and she's like, that's his scent, you know. So then she grew to love it and all this. But that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So they catch Diego, and Aaron and Isabella embrace. Diego goes to trial and gets 3 years in prison with parole for good behavior, and Daniel and Isabella get married and live happily ever after.
Yep.
So this was a phenomenal book.
It was really good.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, hey, quick question.
Yeah.
So, Isabel, they had a trial and everything for Diego. And Isabella's like, "I forgive him, and I want you to be lenient on him, like to the judge." Like, did that sit well with you? He needs to be punished for all of the wrong that he's done.
Exactly. Yeah. Let him suffer for his sins.
Yeah. And I think in the end, he got a just reward. He got a punishment.
He did, yeah.
That was...
But again, I guess it does sort of demonstrate the change of heart.
The forgiveness that she had. To me, it was a little too much.
It was
a little over the top, like, come on.
It's not really realistic, but, it's fiction.
Or that she's changed that much in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, I forgive him. Please
and maybe it's just the day we live in, but we live in a day where the court of public opinion is brutal, and like, even if the police, like if somebody's suspected of something and the police finally rule this person out, if the court of a public opinion says that this person is wrong, even though the
guilty.
police, the court of a public opinion will not be appeased.
Well, it doesn't matter what the official court ruling ended up being. They're still guilty in the eyes of everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the damage is done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it meshes with the change of heart and the change of spirit but yeah, it's to me it wasn't really realistic.
Yeah, it was a little too over the top, like too ooey gooey gushy.
But
like,
maybe
he needs to pay for
were
his crimes.
Were people more forgiving in those days? You think? I've not read a lot of historical.
But this
fiction.
was more of like, hey, let's go duel it out. Let's go have a shootout.
Yeah.
I mean, they just settled it that way.
True. Yeah.
But
so anyway, but overall, it was a really good book. I enjoyed it. If you've not read this book, again, I didn't realize when I bought this that it was in the middle of a series, but I did go back and read the first book in the series after I read this one because I enjoyed it so much. And the first one in the series is really good too.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of it.
Necessarily connected to these characters.
I don't remember any characters from this book being in that one.
And maybe there is a little bit of it's something that ties that to the next one, to the next one, to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go back and read the other one,
so definitely read it. And I'm planning on reading the next one in the series. I'm not a series person, so the fact that I want to read the whole series says something.
Yeah, I like series.
Yeah.
Historically, I have. I probably haven't. Read any lately, but I used to really like them.
Was this your first Tracie Peterson book?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
I think it was my first.
Because I got this book. I got it on clearance. I think on Christian Book Distributors, or maybe it was Baker Books. I can't remember. Not realizing that it was the third in the series. Yeah, it was affordable. So
I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I totally get that. But it was an easy, fun read. It wasn't a thick book. It was pretty small. Yeah. Didn't take long to read it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So again, it's called Where's the Book? It's by Tracie Peterson. It's called Beyond the Desert Sands. If you guys haven't read it, definitely check it out. Great. The two books that I've read in the series are fantastic. I've only been reading Christian fiction predominantly for about probably 3, maybe going on 4 years now. And in this whole time that I've been reading Christian fiction, I've never really found a Christian fiction author that I like well enough to like collect their books.
Okay.
In secular fiction, like I have every Mary Higgins Clark book in hardback.
Okay.
And, you know, like John Grisham, Robin Cook, Catherine Spencer.
Where you just want to get your hands on anything they've ever written.
Yes. Yeah, but I've never found an author that I like, that I enjoy that much in Christian fiction. Okay. And I think Tracie Peterson may be my first. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. I've read enough of her books that I really enjoyed them. So, Tracie Peterson, if you're listening, we love you so much. And hopefully you don't mind us talking about your book and giving a few spoilers on it. But yeah.
That was fun.
Yes, we love you, and we thank you for bringing us so many good, clean Christian fiction books. You're a phenomenal author, and we appreciate you so much. So, all right, listeners, we appreciate you guys listening in. You got anything you want to say before we head out, Miss Jessica?
No, I'm ready for lunch.
Ready for lunch? Yep, it's Saturday and lunchtime, so we are ready. All right, thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Bookish Introverts podcast, where together we explore the worlds within the pages. Until next time, stay bookish.